What is going on, everybody? It's your girl Tay here, That Amethyst Switch, back with another That Amethyst vlog. And today we're talking about the movie that is taking the internet and the world by storm, Kpop Demon Hunters. Now, before we get started, I would just like to tell you guys what just happened. So I was going through these notes. I was probably 20 minutes deep into yapping about this, and I never hit the record button. This is essentially my third time trying to record this. So anyway, let's get started. So before we get, actually, hang on, pause. Before we get started, I do want to give a spoiler warning. There are going to be hella spoilers about Kpop Demon Hunters. So if you have not watched the movie yet and you don't want anything spoiled for you, click off of this video, go watch the movie. It's about an hour and a half long, and then come back and we can discuss. But with that being said, let's get started. So a little bit of context about the movie. The movie follows a female K-pop group called Huntrix. Huntrix is made up of three girls by the name of Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. Now, on the outside, they are perceived as pop stars, but really they are hunters that hunt demons and protect everyone's souls, essentially. And the responsibility of being hunters is passed from generation to generation. However, it is believed that these three girls are the last generation of hunters because the Hanmun is about to turn gold. What is the Hanmun, you ask? Well, the Hanmun is essentially a barrier between the human world and the demon world. And the Hanmun needs to be strong to keep the demons out and kind of keep them from stealing people's souls. The main character, Rumi, her mom was previously a hunter that helped maintain the Hanmun. Unfortunately, Rumi's mom did pass away when she was a baby. The circumstances are unknown. There are different theories about that, but we'll get into that. So Rumi is then taken under the wing of Celine, who was a hunter alongside Rumi's mother. But that is a different conversation that we will get into later on in this video. But there is one problem with Rumi. She is part hunter, part demon. Yes, Rumi's mother had fallen in love with a demon, got pregnant, and had Rumi. So after her mother's death, Rumi was taken under the wing of Celine, who essentially took on the role of mother figure for Rumi. Celine spent Rumi's entire life making her hide her patterns and essentially hide this other half of herself. So not even Mira and Zoe know this big secret about their best freaking friend. The main antagonist of the movie is a group of male demons called the Saja Boys, and they are fronted by Jinu. Jinu has his own story where he had abandoned his family to live a life of luxury in the palace in ancient times, or 400 years prior. Not very sure about that. So I guess you could say Jinu's the main antagonist, but we're gonna say the Sasha Boys as a whole. So the Sasha Boys are formed to essentially make Huntrix look bad, steal their fans, and send all of these souls to the Demon King Gima. That's that. That's as good of a summary as that I can give you guys without really spoiling it like off the bat. So I have a lot more notes here than I thought I was going to have. So the first thing that I have noted are the character designs. The character designs I feel were very unique, but they were also subtle at the same time. Like they weren't very like in your face. Although yes, we do have a lot of colors with the different characters, I do feel like they're not like boom, you know? So Mira, I'm going to start off with, I love her long pink hair. I love her different facial features. I love her makeup. Rumi, I love her hair, obviously, because it is purple, and that is my favorite color. There's a lot more detail, I feel like, in Rumi's character because she is essentially the main character of the movie. She has these little, like, accessories, like, braided into her hair, which, now that I'm thinking about it, are gold. And that is so fitting. And then you have Zoe. Zoe's character design is one of my favorites. I absolutely love her style. I love her whole color scheme. And what I noticed with the girls is that they are essentially like a different variation of each other's style. So Rumi is little pants, big shirt. Zoe is big pants, little shirt, and then Mira is somewhere like in between. So Rumi we often will see her wearing like shorts, and then she has on like this turtleneck crop top and then this big puffy sports jacket. Now, obviously, this is intentional to hide her patterns because her patterns don't cover her whole body like full-fledged demons do. It essentially only covers like her arms and torso and a little bit of her neck. But unfortunately, the more shame that you have, the more the patterns grow, which does become a thing the further into the movie that we get. Zoe, as I said, is big pants, little shirt. We often will see her wearing some sort of like cargo pants or parachute pants, and then like some sort of like crop top, tank top, or tube top. And then Mira is a little bit of both. We will see her wearing like this kind of like loose fitting t-shirt, crop top, and a skirt that's not necessarily very like tight or short. I would say it goes like about like a little bit above the knee. But I do think all of their different styles are really, really cool. And going back to the discussion about the patterns, I personally think they're kind of badass, but that's just me. We're gonna get into the meat of this movie and why it is so popular. The music. Now, I do want to say that I did not expect the music to be as good as it was. Like, I already knew that it was going to be like, pretty like, it was going to be something because it's named Kpop Demon Hunters. Like, obviously there were going to be some serious bangers in this movie, but I did not expect there to be pretty much all of them be bangers. So we're going to start with the opening number, How It's Done. How It's Done is performed by Huntrix when they are first introduced and they are on their plane to go to the final show of their world tour. Now, this is a very important show because it is essentially an opportunity for them to further strengthen the Hanmun, because I don't know if I said this in the beginning, the Hanmun is strengthened by music. It is strengthened by their vocals. And Huntrix's whole goal is to turn the Hanmun gold and essentially send the demons away forever. So they are like essentially running late. Like the flight is being flown by demons and they are running late, and then it just breaks out into a whole fight scene, which then breaks out into this amazing song that honestly has taken the internet by storm as well. And can I just say, when they are falling out of the plane, that is my favorite part of this song, because the whole when Mira says fit check from my napalm era, it just scratches a certain part of my brain in a certain way that I cannot get over. All three of them do rap in the song, but I would say my favorite part, other than Mira's one part, was definitely Zoe. Zoe's flow was so steady and so strong, and something that is also important to note is that Zoe is the main lyricist and rapper of the group. Apparently, she grew up in America, so her flow very much represents the American rapping. Now, I saw that in a video where it kind of compared Baby Saja's rapping to Zoe's. Now, I'm not sure how much validity to give that. I'm not a rap expert. I'm not a rap artist. So, if you think that has any sort of like standing, please let me know. So, moving on to essentially the second song that is performed, is Golden. Golden is their single that they launched pretty much at the beginning of the movie. And obviously it's very appropriate because this is supposed to be the song that turns the Hanmun gold, hence the name. But it is also a song all about, self-empowerment and self-love and overcoming your insecurities and obstacles in your life. And it is all about like self-acceptance, which is so ironic because it is at this point where we are introduced to Rumi's patterns. So this song, I feel, is also just about her trying to accept this whole other half of her that Celine has drilled into her. You cannot love this. This is not you. We have to get rid of it. It is such a beautiful instrumental with such a catchy melody. It is my personal favorite song out of the movie. A close second would be This Is What It Sounds Like, but we'll get to that one. The vocal performances are honestly what make this song my favorite. I feel like the way that the girls perform it is just so full of emotion and so full of power. My favorite part of the song is Mira's part when she says, called a problem child because I got too wild, but now that's how I'm getting paid. Next up is Soda Pop, which is performed by the Sasha Boys. Now, Soda Pop is performed after the Sasha Boys are first introduced, but we will discuss that scene at a later date because I got some feels about that one. But as Mira so lovingly puts it, the song is infectious. It is so infectiously catchy with the melody and the vocal performances and the lyrics, and that's honestly the point. Like, this song is supposed to get in your head. This song is supposed to get into the audience's head, because that is the whole point of the Sasha Boys. The Sasha Boys are here to steal Huntrix's fans, to get as many people on their side so that they can take their souls and send them to the Demon King. To be honest, I love the steady poppy beat. The vocals on the boys are honestly so good, so steady and soothing, and I honestly think that's kind of the point because they're supposed to hypnotize you, basically. The choreography is my favorite out of the entire movie. Honestly, I would love to try and learn it, but I'm not a dancer and I will fuck it up. It is very catchy and it lives in my head rent free. Like, I feel like this song has laid eggs in my brain since I watched it like a month ago almost. I'm gonna be so real, chat. My soul would have been gone. The second they would have popped up, soul would have been gone. Here, take it, get. So we're moving on to Takedown. Now, Takedown, I have some thoughts on, obviously, but I will start off by saying that it is very catchy. It's, quote, catchy as hell, as I wrote, apparently, and it is very badass. The flows are very steady. However, I do feel like the performances are off, and I can't help but wonder if that is the point. I just feel like the performances feel forced, and this is why I don't necessarily like this. I like this song, but it is my least favorite out of all of the songs from the movie. Huntrix's music is all about themselves and togetherness, and is so full of positivity and love. For example, Golden. And Takedown is very hateful. I mean, it's a diss track, for crying out loud, but it is so hateful and full of anger, and it is just so not them. And I forget who says it while like in the movie, because there's a lot of discourse when it comes to Takedown between the girls. I forget if Mira or Zoe says it, but they essentially say, like, this song is not us. It's not going to unite our fans because it doesn't even unite us. And it isn't them. Like, as I said, all of their songs have mainly been about, like, empowerment and togetherness and self-acceptance. And then Takedown is just so negative. It is so full of hate. And it's just not them. So I don't know if the performances feeling off and feeling forced is supposed to be a thing, but that's just a couple thoughts that I had on it. So next we have Free. Now, Free is performed by both Jinu and Rumi, and it is at this point that Jinu and Rumi are kind of like bonding, and I feel like this song really solidifies them forming a bond. The song itself, it has a beautiful melody along with beautiful vocal performances from Rumi and Jinu. The lyrics just flow so sweetly and cleanly, and it's understandable for me for this to be someone's favorite. It is not my favorite song. I would say it's second least favorite, but I will say, like, this song is so beautiful. It is so gorgeous, and it almost feels like a breath of fresh air after all the high energy music that we had heard so far, because Free is definitely a ballad. It is so beautiful, and the way that the vocals are kind of like mixed, like, we do have backing vocals and whatnot, but for the most part it sounds like it is just Jinu and Rumi. One of the notes that I have written here is, it is rude as fuck, because I feel like this scene gave us hope for Rumi and Jinu to be endgame. And that is a conversation that we will have in a minute. Your Idol. Your Idol is performed by the Sasha Boys essentially after the Idol Awards. What happens at the Idol Awards is the girls perform Golden. And it is their first time performing Golden live because initially they had to cancel the initial live performance because Rumi's voice started to give out because her pattern started to reach her vocal cords. The girls are performing, and essentially what happens is Gino and the Demons sabotage their performance and ruin everything. They make it seem like the girls broke up live on stage and essentially ruin their entire image. So then they're like, hey guys, we know you guys are probably upset about the Huntrix breakup, but in order to cheer you up, we're going to do a special free performance at this venue at midnight. So essentially what ends up happening is all of these people are pretty much hypnotized at this point, and they go to this venue. Rumi and Zoe end up going to, as Rumi had run off to go find Celine. There is absolutely no reason for this song to go as hard as it did. No reason whatsoever. The freaking harmonies from the boys, especially in the beginning, is enough to hypnotize anybody. Like, if my soul had not been gone at the time of Soda Pop, it would have been gone right there. Like, gone. Like, you kidding me? Baby's flow on the rap part was absolutely crazy. The energy that he brought to that performance was insane. The build-up during the breakdown is also insane, as well as the backing vocals that are attributed to it. As I said, Soul would have been absolutely gone. I will say, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, my favorite vocals, or my favorite vocals of the Saja Boys is definitely Mystery. Now, Mystery, I feel like we don't hear a whole lot of. Granted, they only have like 2 songs that they perform, which is Soda Pop and Idol. But I do love Mystery's singing voice. I don't know why, but it just sounds so beautiful. And then also, has nothing to do with the song, but everything to do with the scene. Not Genu sensing Rumi right out of the gate at the end of the performance. Like, that was nuts, because we do hear, like, her vocals, but she is not singing. And I think that is supposed to signify to us as the viewer that that is Genu just sensing Rumi being there. Pretty much right after that, Rumi has pretty much like a standoff with Gima at that point, and then she starts going into This Is What It Sounds Like. This Is What It Sounds Like is another song about coming together, but it is all about fixing what has been broken and acknowledging the faults that you may have had within a certain situation. It starts out very slow. It starts out very slow, and then it does eventually pick up. Now, I'm going to try and follow my notes here. So, it gives me absolute goosebumps every single time, especially in the beginning when the 3 girls are singing by themselves. The single vocals for each girl in the beginning, to me, symbolizes them being on their own until they reunite, and that's when we start having the different harmonies and vocal layers, essentially signifying togetherness, and like they are back, like they are together, like we are so back, Chad. And then also, something that is noted is the Golden Overture in the background during the breakdown. Absolute bumps of geese. The beat to the song is one of my favorites, and what I really love about the song and the scene in which the song is surrounded by is the fact that the girls are triumphantly walking towards Gima, towards the Saja Boys, towards the different demons that they summon, and they just dog walk everybody, and it is so amazing. So This Is What It Sounds Like. This Is What It Sounds Like is my second favorite off of the album. So that is all that I pretty much had to say about the music. And so these are just kind of like other things that I notated as I was doing my second watch through of the movie. Rumi's vocal range is stupid, crazy, and hella admirable. Honestly, goals. I believe Rumi's singing vocals are done by, I'm sorry if I butcher the name, but Ije? I think, correct me if I'm wrong. Her range is one of my favorites because I love how low she can get, but also how high she can get at the same time, and how quickly. Like, I'm honestly just, my jaw is on the ground every single time I hear her voice. Now we're going to cycle back a little bit. We're going to talk about the introduction of the Sasha Boys. Oh my god. Did I love and hate this scene at the same time? Especially the meet cute. Now, I have heard that essentially they were over dramatizing it and essentially poking fun at like K dramas. I've never seen a K drama, so I can't attest to that. However, I will say it kills me every single time. It is both cringe and hilarious, but I cringed so hard from secondhand embarrassment for it. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely killed me. But I'm going to be so real. The girls are so real for that reaction to seeing them for the first time, because honestly, same. I have notated here, the writing of the characters just feels so full, in that not just one characteristic is emphasized beyond belief, and I feel like we get that with a lot of shows and a lot of stories, anime, however you want to put it, that I feel like they will focus on one main characteristic, and that is just the entire character's like personality. I feel like the characters are very fleshed out. I feel like they actually have literal personalities. One of my favorite examples of this is Jinu. Jinu, although he is the leader of the Sasha Boys and a demon, he does have moments where he is an absolute goofball, and I love that. I feel like that is definitely used to almost signify that there still is a little bit of humanity left within him. Another thing that I noted was the Sasha Boys are the perfect antagonists to Huntrix. For example, during Soda Pop, the boys do acts of kindness, such as giving gifts to kids, helping someone put mustard on their hot dog, and the girls essentially destroy those things, thus making them look bad. Although they are wearing disguises, we still know that that's Huntrix, and I just felt like the Sasha Boys were a good foil to Huntrix. Now we're getting into this territory where I did have to source things from different research sources. So I did find some trivia regarding the Sasha Boys from the fandom wiki. I love fandom wikis. In Korean, Saja means lion, which does explain the lion logo and them calling their fandom the Pride. But apparently and I'm sorry if I butcher this name, the Gyeosung Saja is the traditional Korean Grim Reaper, which is heavily reflected in the Sasha Boys' attire when they are in demon form. Now, I do remember seeing something like that when the movie first came out, the comparison of the Korean Grim Reaper and what the Sasha Boys are wearing, and I love that symbolism so much. Another thing that I had seen this a lot on TikTok, and I did want to discuss it, so I'm really glad that I was able to find it kind of from the fandom wiki. The Sasha Boys are representation. Oh my god, the Sasha Boys are representations of the K-pop, different issues of the K-pop industry. Starting with Abby. Abby represents the sexualization of K-pop idols. Romance represents the parasocial relationship between fans and idols. Baby represents the infantilization of K-pop men, and mystery represents the lack of privacy that is experienced by different idols. I do want to state that I really hope that is the case. I really hope that the different boys genuinely do represent the different issues within the K-pop industry. Now, I am not a huge K-pop fan. I am not that involved in the K-pop community, but I do know that some of these issues are obviously a very big issue, especially in the K-pop community. I have heard talks about these different issues over the years as K-pop has become more popular. I do know that K-pop idols are held to different standards when it comes to their appearance, when it comes to their interactions, not only with their fans, but with each other and with other groups. And it is definitely, from what I hear, the K-pop industry is definitely more stressful than the American pop industry. So the fact that this is being discussed, that this is being talked about, and is essentially being like, hey, we see this, I definitely think these conversations need to be had and need to continue to be had. But some other thoughts that I had in regards to representation with the boys is that when it comes in regards to the story and in regards to the characters, I wonder if the Sasha boys' human forms are representations of their regrets slash shame. So, for example, Jinu. Jinu is the lead singer of a boy band. Let me back up. Jinu had abandoned his family to live a life of luxury, fame, and prestige and music in the royal palace. And he is essentially the front man of a popular K-pop group. So he's got the fame, he's got the prestige, and he's got the music. And I wonder if that is a representation of like I abandoned my mother and sister for this exact same life. Abby is he's very beefy in his human form. He is, he's got abs, he's got muscles, and I can't help but wonder like was this his desire to be stronger? Did he possibly show weakness and was taken advantage of when he was alive in the human world? Like I feel like Abby's regret or shame is centered somewhere around strength. Romance. Now, I feel like romance, his regret slash shame is in his name. I can't help but wonder, like, if his regret slash shame is centered around being love. Was he betrayed by a lover in his human life? Did he just have a strong desire to have a romantic partner and he never got that? Regardless, I think his regret is centered somewhere around romantic love. Baby, I couldn't really formulate like a strong thought on. My question is, was he just never taken seriously when he was alive? Like, did he have this desire? Did he have this want to be someone who can be taken seriously? I'm not so sure, but let me know what your thoughts are on that. Mystery, I wonder if it's has something to do with the desire to be known but unknown at the same time. Perhaps he had his privacy violated in his human life. Again, like Baby, I couldn't get really a good read on that, but I also can't help but wonder like if they're human forms, not only are they representations of different K-pop industry issues, but in regards to the story, like is it also are they also representations of their regrets or shame from their life? We had talked earlier about there being discourse over Takedown being the wrong move for Huntrix. I kind of just repeated myself with this one, but as I said, Huntrix's songs are usually about themselves and overcoming obstacles, e.g. Golden, whereas Takedown is very hateful and not necessarily what they represent. And of course, this song starts becoming a problem when Rumi is starting to become close with Jinu, and she is now questioning everything that they know about demons. Like she starts to consider like do demons still have some shred of humanity? Like is Gima like controlling them? Which yes, he is, but like according to the wiki, and correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the wiki, Jinu is essentially the only one that has any ounce of, I guess, autonomy or humanity left in him. Whereas the other boys, they are just mindless demons, essentially. Don't know how much validity to give that, but it also just kind of like makes sense because Genu, like, there is a lot of like differences between him and the boys. Like he keeps the picture that the little girl gives him while everybody else throws their flowers out. I don't know, like he shows a lot more of humanity than the other boys. Now could it just be because like he is one of like the main characters? Sure, but I don't know. I cannot help but wonder like if that is the case, but I'm getting so off topic here. But yeah, so the song starts becoming an issue when Rumi starts questioning everything that they know about demons, and then of course this starts causing friction between the girls, mainly Rumi and Mira. And Mira starts really seeing like Rumi is hiding something from us. What is it? And quite honestly, Mira, a lot. But we'll get into that. So, something I would like to discuss is the fact that I believe Celine is the real villain of this story. Now, stay with me here. If Celine didn't make Rumi hide her patterns from Mira and Zoe, I do not think the fallout would have been as bad as it was. Paying attention to what Mira and Zoe say, they place a focus on Rumi's lies rather than her patterns. So, during the Idol Awards, as I said, Jinu and the demons sabotage Huntrix's performance. They lure Zoe and Mira away, and two demons take the form of Mira and Zoe, and they are on stage with Rumi, and they start playing Takedown. And Mira and Zoe are singing at Rumi, and thus expose her patterns. So, the real Mira and Zoe end up seeing these patterns, and by this point, Rumi's shame is so strong that the patterns are actually growing more on her body. Rumi runs to backstage, and when she sees Zoe and Mira, obviously Zoe and Mira are taken back because they're like, oh my god, you have patterns. But when they are going back and forth, there is not really a heavy emphasis placed on the patterns. Mira and Zoe are mainly focused on the fact that Rumi has lied to them for so long and about so many things, because then they also find out that Rumi had been canoodling with Jinu, essentially. Now, obviously not canoodling, but you know what I mean. Like, they had been meeting up. They had essentially been working together. So now they're like, oh my god, did our best friend betray us for these demons? But their main focus, while paying attention to what they say, is not at all about the patterns. It is not at all about the fact that Rumi is part demon. It is all about the fact that Rumi didn't trust them for her to tell them the truth. I truly do not think they would have cared too much about her having patterns and being half demon, because it is all about trust with them. So I feel like if the girls had been told early on in their relationship that Rumi was part demon, honestly, I feel like they would have been accepting. Maybe there would have been a little bit of a shock, but I feel like if it had been explained to them a little bit, or at all, I feel like Mira and Zoe would have been very, very accepting of Rumi. I do not think they would have condemned her because she's part demon. And also, Rumi's shame would not have been as strong if Celine hadn't conditioned her to essentially hate half of herself. Although I will say, although I believe Celine's intentions were good, it was a horrible way of going about it. So, of course, like, you spend your entire life being told that you need to hide this whole half of you, that this whole part of you, you're going to be ashamed about it. And as it has been stated throughout the entire movie, that's how Gima controls people through the patterns, is through their shame, through their regret. And that is how and why these patterns grew so far so quickly, is because of Rumi's shame of them. Also, as I said in the beginning, Rumi's mom had passed away when Rumi was a baby. And someone on the internet pitched the theory, what if Celine killed Rumi's mom? And to be so real with you guys, I do not think that is so far out there. I truly don't, because Celine is very dedicated to her duties as a hunter. She is very dedicated to her job. So I don't know if she feared that Rumi's mom was going to abandon them to go be with this demon or what. I don't know, but I do think that it is a strong possibility that Celine killed Rumi's mom because she felt like she had a duty too. And that is probably why she also felt extreme guilt about it and promised to take Rumi under her wing and help her become the hunters that they couldn't be. Again, that is all a theory, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually the case. I do believe Celine is the real villain of the story, solely because if she hadn't made Rumi be so ashamed of this other half of herself, wouldn't have been a problem. The defiance of Rumi towards the end of the movie when she is with Celine at the tree, where Celine's like, we can still fix this. We can tell them that, it was a trick by Gima. And Rumi's like, absolutely not. No more lies. No more hiding. Why couldn't you love me for who I was? All of me, like, honestly, yes, queen. Like, yes. And when she said, if this is the Hanwon that I am supposed to protect, I am glad it's being destroyed. And then they are going to make a new one. Like, yes, queen. So badass. Now, of course, this wouldn't be a discussion about Kpop Demon Hunters if we did not talk about Jinu sacrificing himself to save Rumi. All I'm going to say is, Sony, count your fucking days. As I said when we were talking about Free, I feel like that gave us such false hope and was rude as fuck because it made me feel like, oh my god, they are so endgame, they are going to be together, and then he dies. Like, Jinu is dead. He's gone. Gone. I mean, technically he's in Rumi's sword, I guess, but like, Jinu's gone. They cannot be together. And honestly, rude as fuck. So with that being said, Jinu and Rumi are for everyone who wanted Katara and Zuko to be endgame. Tell me I am wrong. And then, of course, we need to discuss my sweet baby, my love, Derpy the tiger. Yes, can I just say I love the fact that the internet has given this nameless tiger the name of Derpy. This tiger is quite arguably the cutest thing I've ever seen. I actually have a shirt with Derpy on it. I love them so much. They're so cute. They're so sweet. And I love how much they love Jinu and Rumi because honestly, same. I would lay down my life for this tiger. And then last but not least, Bobby. Bobby is one of the best characters in this movie. He is so sweet, he is so genuine, and he just wants to do everything that he can to help the girls succeed. Like, he is just such a great and positive character, and he is so well written, and he is just great. Like, honestly, Bobby is king. So a few statistics before we leave here. The soundtrack of Kpop Demon Hunters debuted at number 1 on the Billboard soundtrack charts, and this is from Billboard.com, and the first soundtrack to reach number 1 from a Netflix show in over 2 years. And if I can recall correctly, I believe the last soundtrack from a Netflix show to reach number 1 was Stranger Things season 4. I think it was season 4. I don't know, I don't watch Stranger Things. In the first week after its release, the movie was sitting at number 6 on Netflix's top 10 movies in the US. It currently has a 96% critic rating along with an 85% audience rating, and that is sourced from theindependent.com. According to Forbes.com, Your Idol beat BTS's record, charting at number 2 on the Billboard charts, whereas Dynamite by BTS charted at number 3. And I did the best that I could to find specific statistics about certain things, but I could not find anything because allegedly they broke so many different records. But lastly, based on Spotify statistics from the US, Golden is currently sitting at number 1, Soda Pop is sitting at number 6, and Your Idol is sitting at number 2. And last I heard, Golden and Your Idol has been flip-flopping between the top spots. So considering that, as I said, we would have been cooked if the fellas were real. We would have been cooked. And as I said, I would have offered up my soul. Offered it up here. So, my loves, that is Kpop Demon Hunters. If you haven't yet, which you should have if you've made it to the end of this video, go watch the movie. Go watch the movie a second time. I think I'm going to watch it a third time after recording this. I honestly loved this movie so much. It's such a great movie. It has such a great story and obviously amazing music. I love the characters so much. So, also, I want to leave this video off by saying that Huntrix is the Powerpuff Girls. So, I guess I will end this by saying that Mira No. I don't have a favorite Huntrix girl. Honestly, probably Zoe. Zoe is really cute, but Mira's a close second. And I feel like I feel obligated to say Mira because Mira reminds me a lot of Buttercup, and Buttercup was my favorite Powerpuff Girl. My favorite Soulja Boy, it was Abby, but like I've been feeling Mystery a lot lately. Let me know what you guys think about Kpop Demon Hunters. Let me know who your favorite Huntrix girl is. Let me know who your favorite Soulja Boy is, or just let me know who your favorite character was overall. But I hope we are all in agreement that Celine is the main villain of this movie. If you made it to the end of this, thank you guys so much. I appreciate every single one of you. And now I'm going to go watch the movie a third time.